Hello and welcome to a new video on the channel. Today's video is going to be about none other than Mr. Neuvillette, the best Hydro DPS in my opinion in the game, recently introduced in the 4.1 banner. Let's jump right into the video. Neuvillette is a Hydro DPS character that can fit in many different teams, which is what most people look for. Whenever you are looking for a character, you're definitely looking for variety. You don't want to be stuck with only like international team or only a Hyperbloom team. Well, Neuvillette can fit in so many teams like the Hyperbloom team with Nahida and other Archons like Zhongli and Raiden Shogun. You can use Raiden EM with him. He's really good in Taser team. He's actually really good in international team, which is surprising. We'll talk about team comps later in the video. But yeah, Neuvillette's main source of damage is going to be from his charge attack. But if you just want to do a charge attack, it's definitely going to take some time to charge up before you unleash the Hydro Beam. So there's actually a way that you can avoid that, which is just hitting enemies by your elemental skill or elemental burst. And whenever you use your elemental skill or elemental burst on enemies, an orbits are going to spawn and Neuvillette is going to consume them, which will make him do charge attack instantly, and you don't have to wait for the charge animation. You can do up to 3 charge attacks straight with him, starting with his elemental skill first, and then your elemental burst is going to drop 6 orbits, and you can consume them 3 by 3, which will you will be able to do 2 charge attacks with his elemental burst. If you want to use more charge attack, you can just use the sacrificial fragment on him, which will reset your elemental skill. Now let's talk about his talents. Well, obviously the normal attack of him is useless, so we're definitely gonna be relying on charge attacks, which will deal Hydro AoE damage to opponents. The normal charge attack that takes time to charge does not consume any stamina, while when you absorb the orbits, you will definitely use stamina to do the charge attack. And if Neuvillette's HP is above 50%, he will constantly lose HP while using the charge attack. Let's talk about his elemental skill. Well, his elemental skill, whenever you use it, it deals AoE hydro damage to opponents in a small AoE, and also it drops the 3 droplets. The 3 droplets are the orbs that Neuvillette absorbs automatically. You don't need to stand on them. You can instantly perform a charge attack. And his elemental skill has to hit opponents to drop the droplets. If you miss it, you will definitely not.
I see the value.
For example, if there are no enemies nearby and you use your elemental skill, you will not get the orbits, and you will not be able to do instant charge attack. And this charge attack damage is based on Neuvillette's max HP. Obviously, Neuvillette is a HP based character, but we're gonna talk about that when we're talking about artifacts. Now let's talk about his elemental burst. His elemental burst is very similar to his elemental skill, but the difference between them is that it has a large AoE and it does more damage. And of course, this damage is also based on Neuvillette's max HP. And the elemental burst spawns 6 droplets, which will enable you to perform 2 charge attacks. So you can get 3 charge attacks instantly if you're not using the sacrificial fragment. If you are using the sacrificial fragment, you're definitely gonna be able to hit at least 4. And whenever you absorb the droplets and you're doing damage to opponents, you will slowly regenerate HP. And for each 1% of Neuvillette's current HP that is above 30%, he will gain 0.6% hydro damage bonus thanks to his passive. But you can only get a 30% hydro damage bonus from this way. And also on Neuvillette, you're gonna want to start your rotation on other characters and on Neuvillette. So let's talk about rotation now. So for rotation, if you are using an animo character with him, you're gonna need to perform 1 normal attack just to apply hydro on enemies. You can swirl it, so that's like the first hydro reaction, and then you use your elemental skills and elemental bursts of other characters to trigger more hydro reactions. So all the reactions has to be hydro oriented, and then you end on Neuvillette. You press his elemental skill, you do charge attack, you use your elemental burst, perform 2 charge attacks, and then you can start over again. Because for each hydro reaction, your charge attack damage deals 110, 125, and 160 of its original damage based on how many hydro reactions you trigger. So just keep in mind that if you are using an animo character, definitely apply hydro first so you can swirl it, and that counts as a hydro reaction. And of course, this passive is really good for exploration because it increases your underwater for party members by 15%, which is really useful if you are exploring underwater and trying to get those primogems. Now let's talk about weapons. Best in slot weapon for Neuvillette is going to be his signature weapon, which is Tome of the Eternal Flow. It gives you 88 crit damage at level 90, and also it increases your HP by 16%, which is a really useful stat for him. And when your HP increases or decreases, just like the artifact, your charge attack damage will be increased by 14% for 4 seconds, max 3 stacks. This effect can trigger once every 0.3 seconds. So business slot weapon is definitely going to be his signature weapon, but if you're not planning to summon for it, there are some good 4-star options. First one is going to be Sacrificial Jade, which is the battle pass weapon, the new battle pass weapon. It gives you 36 crit rate at level 90, and also when you're not on field, your max HP will be increased by 32%, and you will gain 40 elemental mastery. And this effect will be cancelled after the wielder has been on the field for 10 seconds, so you're definitely gonna need to switch of him very frequently. Another good weapon for Neuvillette is going to be the Lost Prayer, which you can get from the base banner. Many old players probably have access to this weapon. It gives you 30 crit rate at level 90, which is a really good stat for Neuvillette, since his Ascension increases your crit damage. So crit rate is really good. So if you have a crit rate weapon, you're definitely not gonna be looking for crit rate substats on your artifacts. And the passive increases your movement speed by 10%, which can be helpful if you are trying to dodge enemies in Abyss. And when you are in battle, you gain 8% elemental damage bonus for every 4 seconds, and this can stack 4 times. Another good weapon for him obviously is going to be the Wizard, because it gives you 55 crit damage at level 90, and all elemental damage will be increased by 96%, and you can get your elemental mastery increased by 480. Another good weapon for him is going to obviously to be the Sacrificial Fragment, which will enable you to use your elemental skill twice, especially at high refinement, and it gives you 221 EM at level 90. So this could be a really good weapon for Hyper Bloom teams or for Vaporized teams. Best in slots 4-star weapon, in my opinion, is going to be the Prototype Ember, which is surprising. A lot of people thought that this weapon is not going to be good for him, but if you can make your main DPS a healer, then why not? This is literally the best 4-star option for him, and this is the most F2P friendly. You can just craft it and get R5 copy just using prototypes. Its main stat is HP. It gives you 141% HP at level 90, and after using Elemental Burst, you regenerate 6 energy every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. And all party members will regenerate 6% HP when you use your Elemental Burst, which is really useful. So if you're using this weapon, you're definitely not gonna need a healer in the team, so you can switch your cookie with Raiden Shogun if you want to. Another good weapon for him is going to be the Wandering Event Star, if you have access to this weapon and you don't have Sacrificial. So this can be a good weapon because it gives you 165 elemental mastery. Now let's talk about artifacts. Obviously, best in slot artifacts for him is going to be the Mershos Hunter, the new set. 2-piece increases your normal and charge attacks damage by 15%, and the 4-piece set, whenever your HP increases or decreases, which is the case with Neuvillette, your crit rate will be increased by 12%, and this can stack 3 times. This will make building him very easy, and if you are using a crit rate weapon like the Lost Prayer or the Battle Pass weapon, you can definitely not get any crit rate substats, and you're still going to be fine. For the Flower, you're gonna need crit damage, crit rate, HP percentage, a little bit of energy recharge, as well as for the Plume. For Sands, you're gonna need HP percentage Sands with crit damage, crit rate, energy recharge, and maybe some elemental mastery if possible. For the Goblet, obviously you're gonna need a hydro damage goblet with crit damage, crit rate, and HP percentage, and maybe a little bit of energy recharge as well. For the Circlet, you're definitely gonna need a crit damage one, since you can get crit rate from the 4-piece set, and if you are already using a crit rate weapon, so you're definitely gonna need crit damage. From artifacts, you can get up to 40 crit rate, I would say, as max crit rate, just like freeze teams, and you can get the rest of the crit rate from the artifacts passive. So try to aim for 40 crit rate from artifacts, and you can get the rest from the 4-piece set, and if you are using a weapon, you're gonna get even more crit rate. So definitely prioritize crit damage over crit rate. If you don't have this set, you can use the 4-piece Heart of Depth, because 2-piece, it increases your hydro damage by 15%, and the 4-piece sets increase whenever you use your elemental skill, it will increase your charge attack or normal attack damage by 30%, which can be good for Neuvillette. It's not optimal, but it's definitely usable. You can use this as a placeholder. If for some reason you don't have 4-piece of this set, you can definitely use 4-piece Wanderer. The 2-piece set will increase your elemental mastery by 80, and the 4-piece set will increase your charge attack damage by 35%. For artifact substats, just like Mershos, you're gonna need an HP Sands, an hydro damage goblet, and a crit damage circlet. Obviously, for max HP, you're gonna need to aim for about 40,000 HP. Obviously, my Neuvillette is still work in progress, but you should definitely be aiming for 40,000 max HP because Neuvillette relies on HP and charge attack to do damage. And his charge attack is based on HP, so just keep that in mind. Just try to aim for 40,000 HP. For the rotation, of course, if you are using a Hydro character like Kazuha or Sucrose, definitely apply Hydro first with Neuvillette, then sword the Hydro so you get the first Hydro reaction. Then you can use your Elemental Skill and Elemental Burst on your support characters, and then you end up on Neuvillette to do rotation. And when you finish, obviously start with his Elemental Skill, perform a charge attack, use his Elemental Burst, perform 2 charge attacks, and then you can just reset the rotation. Now let's talk about teams. Currently, best in slot team for him is going to be Hyperbloom team, either with the Archon team, or you can just use Nahida and Cookie with him. You can definitely use Shinsho too. So you can just use a full EM build on with Flower of Paradise on Raiden Shogun, 4-piece Deepwood on Nahida, and just 4-piece Tenacity of the Millelith on Zhongli, just for the shield strength. This is a really good Hyperbloom team for him, especially if you are using Prototype Ember on Neuvillette, so in that way you can just keep healing your team with your main DPS. Another good Hyperbloom team is going to be with Cookie instead of Raiden Shogun, and of course instead of Zhongli you can use either Kazuha or maybe Dehya, but that's not a Hyperbloom team. If you have access to Dehya, definitely try her. I've seen some people run her with him, and it's really fun to play. And of course, instead of Zhongli, you can either run Kazuha or Sucrose with him. They both work fine. If you don't have Nahida, you can definitely use Dendro MC. The damage difference is going to be huge just because Nahida is just superior to Dendro MC, but if you don't have access to Nahida, you can definitely use Dendro MC. The damage is not going to be as good as Nahida, but it's still going to be good. Another good team that Neuvillette can fit in is going to be the Taser team with Beidou, Fischl, and Kazuha. Of course, instead of Kazuha, you can use Zhongli, or maybe you can replace Beidou with Zhongli, and you can use Neuvillette, Kazuha, or Sucrose, whatever you have available, and then Fischl. This is a really good team on Neuvillette. It does really good damage. Another good team for Neuvillette obviously is going to be the international team with Sucrose, Kazuha, or even Zhongli as just a shielder in the team. This is a really fun team, especially if you are using the sacrificial fragment. You can just keep using your elemental skill over and over, and you can just keep charge attacking infinitely. So this is another team comp that you can use. It's really fun, and it does really good damage too. That's it for the video. I hope you guys found something useful in this video. This is the second day that I have Neuvillette, and I'm really loving with the character. I think right now, without a doubt, he is my favorite character. His playstyle is so much fun, and he does really good damage too, which is surprising. That's it for me for now. I hope you found this video useful. If you found anything useful in this video, please leave a like. It really helps out the channel. And I will leave you now with a showcase in him in Abyss, just to try to showcase some of these teams with different weapons. And I will catch you in the next one.
Power that ended height!
Fallen leaves, adorn my night!
The tides beckon.
Oz, reveal! Shadow Raven!
Silence!
To ashes! By royal decree!
Clouds high, the birds call!
Be sanctified. Bow your head.
Oz, reveal by... I summon thee!
Settle down.
The Temple of Wisdom! Shine down!
Silence. The tides beckon.
Illusion shattered!
Order guide you. Stabilize. Settle down. Let the mighty be humbled.
Committed to memory. Make yourselves at home.
An oversight on my silence.
Fallen leaves, adorn my...
This may hurt a little. The Temple of Wisdom. Dissipate.
Bow your head. Be sanctified.
Out of my way. Make yourselves at home. Grow.
Silence! The tides beckon. Justice is blind. Bow your head.
I'm going in.
As one with wind and cloud.
You're toast. Boba, get them.
Silence! Let the mighty be humbled.
Wind strike.
Nice and spicy. Teamwork is dreamwork. Boba, get them.
Bow your head. Silence!
I'm going in.
Fallen leaves, adorn my night.
You're toast.
Bow your head. Be sanctified.